What are you doing?
One.
How you doing? So far, so good.
Did we share our afterwards? It could be. You should be going home. Hold on, right there.
How you doing?
There we go, we got people on this side. It could be. Oh, we're going home. We got a four, we need five. Want me to give it a rock?
I vote handicap or us, yeah.
We shouldn't have to give it a rock.
There's a on the back there.
It looks like I'm off that.
I'm still drawing.
I mean, obviously, we still moving. Third.
Green County, things from the end.
Handle. Hold on, handle, turn around.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Where I get the big bucks.
Just have to leave us.
I mean, you guys know that, no?
1, 2,
I.
just make sure we can cover it. 1, 2, okay. You have audio and we are live. Okay. So my name is Randall Martin. I'm the vice chair of the running the meeting tonight. Teresa is not Bell, but farewell. And the way to start this agenda. We're gonna call this planning board meeting to order. This is July 8th, 2025, and the date and the time is 6:32. Okay, first, today will be 21 North Sixth Street.
Yes.
Oh, yes, it's still most all big sure. I see this. Do we see Linda's on? I don't think she's on. She's present. Okay, roll call.
David Bailey, might vote.
Present. Yeah,
Yeah, not in present.
June Jessica present.
Randall Martin present.
Veronica Concord present.
Thank you, we have a four.
Wonderful.
So
Yes.
21 North of Sixth Street.
Yes, this is a very simple amendment. We added an interior lift inside the building. No external changes, no other changes to our site plan. Originally, when we were approved, we had cafe service in the lower level, which was not ADA accessible. And it was agreed upon that we would have staff that would run back and forth between the ground level floor and the lower level to make that service available to everyone. And in the meantime, that has now changed. We have a second lift that's gonna be inside the building, so essentially that's the entirety of the amendment.
Okay. You reviewed the, okay,
It's a similar lift that you just approved on the 16th or Front Street.
the electric panels for all this are
Yes,
located on the, are they gonna be located on the outside?
They're located on the lowest level of the building
Yeah.
and they are in the closed room.
Okay, and then what? Then located in an enclosed.
and include from an electrical room inside the lowest level of the building.
Okay. Does it, same kind of questions we have for the other lift, is it a covered lift? And is it operated by the?
There's an exterior lift
Right.
that was approved as part of the previous site plan.
Right,
That is uncovered, that's on the exterior of the building. We don't have any changes to that, that's as it was
that's what it is,
approved.
okay,
The only thing that we're adding is inside the building, there's also a level change when you go in from ground level.
Right.
In order to get, it's kind of like a split level situation.
yeah,
So when you go in from sidewalk level, you would either take the exterior lift to the main floor or the interior lift to the lower floor.
so you're gonna have two lifts.
Two lifts.
Okay, I thought this was placing.
And
All we're
the
doing is
addition,
adding.
the addition is only the interior lift, no exterior lifts.
And when you're saying sidewalk level, you're talking about the backside
Correct.
or Columbia Street side or North Sixth Street side?
The rear side,
The rear side, which is the parking lot side
of the parking lot side, yes,
of the municipal parking lot,
correct,
Right.
the west side.
yes.
And it's just only powerful, has it, most, they usually have a key, it's only gonna be a power, have power to it when you're in operation.
Exactly, yeah. Same as the exterior
Right.
So just a technical point, your June 11th meeting, you referred the application to the Columbia County Planning Board. And they have 30 days to respond and they've not responded yet.
lift. But is that necessary because it's an interior addition?
No, just because the proximity to the county building.
Right, cause I noticed on the agenda that it was noted as an exterior lift. And I understand how that would get confusing because normally the planning board is reviewing site plan, it's things that are outside of the building. In this case,
Also, we're here because essentially, Craig wanted us here.
Right.
What
Yeah.
triggered the review if it's changed?
Craig just wanted it on the record, I don't even know that you have to send it to the county, because Craig just wanted it on the record that. The interior lift, I think how it kind of got to this place was because. The site plan approval previously had acknowledged that ADA access to the main floor was basically through like staffing. And now we're bettering that situation and we're putting in two lifts. But the second lift is just inside the building, so it really has nothing to do with anything. It's just like kind of like advisory to the planning board.
But a tremendous amount of work into the building, making it accessible.
Right, and now you won't have to have a person man it.
Correct.
That's right. That's right.
But at this point, since it's already been,
I mean, or unfortunately, if it's a site plan, then it requires the approval. I mean, there's an argument that it didn't require site plan approval, but you submitted. So,
Yeah, I think it kind of,
Yeah, that was based on Craig's direction. We
yeah,
were,
I
he
get
was
it.
actually supposed to call or kind of let them know why we were here to begin with, as this was purely procedural, because we are making the building more in compliance with New York State. So if there's a way, I don't know, Victoria, to make our approval conditional.
that's what I
on-
was thinking. Or,
As appropriate email. That's what I was.
that's what, yeah, well, I think fortuitously for you, yeah, well, there's another public meeting that's gonna happen in a week. And hopefully we can hear back from the county, and this way we can just, then we can give you your approval. So we'll put you on the schedule for that meeting.
I don't think
Could
you
you-
need to
could you-
come to the meeting.
could you approve an amendment to our resolution tonight, conditional on the county saying it was.
Well, it would only be the difference of a week, why would that be?
Oh, no, the time is not, it's just our client
Well, it's the
at
same
our
night for
time
meeting.
coming back for another meeting, which we can do. But if we had some kind of, you know, not assurance, but like kind of understanding that,
Would we have to be present for this?
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
No.
Yeah,
You don't have to be present. I mean, the board though meets the same night, so I would have to call Patrice Perry and see if we can get some kind of. Like heads up advance on if they are doing that, right?
Right.
That's it, I'm just being, being courteous to our client, I mean, if it's really an interior addition, so.
And so unfortunately, because of the process having to come, it now goes, it had to go through the process and notification. So,
But if there's no other questions other than that, if we don't have to attend anything, that would be.
I don't think you can attend.
but you don't like attending the meetings?
Let's keep it as simple as possible, that's all.
No, you don't have to attend.
Thank you.
And you can do.
okay.
Okay, we'll see if we can get a response from Patrice.
And we'll let you know in between that. We'll be. in
Excellent.
contact.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do we have any more questions?
Is Linda on? Did she confirm it with Hudson?
I don't see, she wrong so far.
Linda, are you on the Zoom?
Okay. All right, so next up is Mill Street Lofts. They were turning to planning board in response to conditions 5 and 6 on their site approval plan.
That's for me. So the rest of the team doesn't seem to be here. Unfortunately, they have the drawings. I believe we're here for number 7, actually.
It is,
For
yeah.
Fence.
The fence, yeah.
Yeah, I guess if I'm speaking with Christian briefly, what we use, there's a question or concern about maybe providing the same fence inside the property as providing outside the property.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an issue that I'm aware
Okay, because on examination, you were doing a split rail fence.
of. Split rail fence on the inside, yeah, and like aluminum fence on the outside.
I just thought that kind of defeated the purpose of what we were trying to do, because I think the same kind of fence would be
Understand.
appropriate.
Yeah.
But you don't have,
We had the drawings and the renderings, they were submitted, they are on the website.
they are on the website.
Yeah, but
Let me see,
So
you
everybody should have. had a
hard
chance
copy
to be
before
over
ready,
there.
but I just don't have it in my message.
guys need to bring it up. Let me see.
If we're going to go into it, maybe useful.
Yeah.
Didn't you say some?
Yeah, they are on the portal.
No, let's see. Well, this, the last one I have is with the split rails.
No, there's a rendering. It's shown on the site plan labeled, and then there's a rendering, show the building, the parking lot, shows the newly proposed room. That's. The detail sheet has a construction.
Sure, the split rail. Street.
Yeah, but he's got, we see one the split rail on both. This is for that.
Are you doing split rail on both sides?
We were showing split rail on the inside.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
yeah, that's.
we got that.
Oh, and you know, this thing should be. The metal fence.
I don't think we said they submitted those.
So yeah, these are submitted, they are on the portal. Like I said, that's the aluminum fence, which is indicated on the site plan, it's on the detail, construction detail sheet.
Right,
But what you're saying is just to provide this, instead of this split rail,
exactly,
you have two.
exactly.
Two
So
of
the
those.
kids can't get through that. But you're
Right.
saying you didn't submit.
We did.
They submitted that.
We submitted
That, yeah,
that.
that's what we
Yeah,
had. That's
Right.
why I made the decision, but,
Right.
but from what we asked for, you didn't submit that yet.
No, what we were just talking about, no,
Okay,
because I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I never had a chance with the engineer, I thought Andy was on vacation.
Yeah, Andy,
Oh.
Andy's out of the country, so we were unaware that late this afternoon and Tricia had already left the office.
but you agree to do that.
But I don't know what I'm going to do, but,
Say yes.
I apologize for being late.
Say yes.
I had a little problem with the print shop, so the requested is
the aluminum fence on, yeah,
Inside.
inside and outside.
Sure.
Yes.
Instead of split rail.
Instead of split rail.
Sure, that's fine.
Yes, that's what I thought.
So you can, if everyone's comfortable with that, you could approve the condition that it all be that particular aluminum fence.
Because that was the last item. right?
It was, yeah, they had to come back to the board so you could for the fence.
Yes. So do we wanna vote on approving it with the condition of having the split rail fence?
Right, well, you've approved the
Not-
project, so you're voting that condition 7 would be satisfied by the addition of the aluminum fence around the full ditch. Don't be sure.
So I'll just make a motion.
Yep.
Make a motion that we approve the condition 7, which was to put the aluminum, which will now include putting the aluminum fence not only on the outside of by the sidewalk, but also on the inside in place of the split rail fence.
Sure.
So condition 7 is satisfied by having the aluminum fence around the entirety of the
Sorry, Peter.
Yeah. So all in, so I made a motion. All in favor?
Discussion.
All in discussion? Then, all in favor, say
Aye.
aye. Aye. Thank you. Any opposed?
How tall is it?
If it's 4 foot, it's the full fence thing is.
It's the same height as that split rail.
It's 4 feet higher than.
What you need to approve.
Yeah, it's that would be, for the building code would require for surrounding pool. Again, you figured out the best way to work, keep kids out of the pool.
Right.
Right, but yeah, I don't get the detail called that. That's 4 feet. Yeah, we have a note on it out of 4 feet. The fall from 4 feet.
So all lines.
Sure.
Okay.
All right, so the resolution's passed and.
That particular condition is that.
Yeah, right. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Apologize for being late. Have a good night.
You too.
59 South Front Street.
59 North Front Street.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
good, thanks. I'm David Slaza. I'm the owner's rep for Kite's Nest, but yeah, at 59 North Front Street. So we've been in front of you a few times before. Tonight it's just me. Kaya's gonna join shortly. She's the executive director. We've been here talking to you about this project. We met with Christian about it in a meeting about our engineering. It became clear that there's just some like broad general like uncertainty on what the project is and how we're intending to develop the site. And so I wanted to back up a little bit and just make sure everybody's on board, because we first presented this project about 2 years ago. A lot of the board members were different at the time. The shape of the building was different at the time. The intentions were the same, but we've done a lot of updates, and so make sure everybody's clear what it's called. Kite's Nest is a nonprofit center for liberatory education for youth in Hudson. I imagine many of you are familiar with it. They serve young folks in the community. They're located on Front Street, next to the water treatment plant and the Pergery Park. They currently operate out of that site. They own both sides of the street. This application is for the western parcel, so that's where the whole Knittingville building was that burned down. And we're seeking to redevelop that site. They own the east side as well. They built a small greenhouse and a teaching classroom there, and they do all of the programs in which that are proposed to happen inside the new building are currently happening under tents and outside and in the little greenhouse. So
Okay.
in terms of the impact on traffic and impact on staffing and those things, although the building will be a tremendous enhancement to everyone's comfort and, quality of life and how things are able to happen and potentially extending programs longer throughout the year in greater comfort. It's not seeking to kind of radically change the work that Kite's Nest does or anything like that. I have some printed out packets. I also have some big stuff. I don't know if it's useful for you guys to see this. This has also been uploaded to the portal.
Yeah, I'm looking for those photos. You uploaded those?
Yeah, this stuff, well, the architect would have done this really recently if they did it at all.
I'm looking,
But I've been,
Do you have enough pads out there?
yeah, I've got that, you got it. So, you all right?
Great, thank you,
Sure.
that's so nice.
Yeah. So the deck, that we've got. Yeah, for sure. Has, the first page is photos of, what classes look like now at Kite's Nest and the things that are going on. They, Johnson, yeah, I'm sorry for sitting on this. They run programs in youth empowerment around land stewardship and sustainability. They do programs around social justice and leadership academy. They also do woodworking, art classes and music making classes and a whole bunch of things. So they are one of the larger employers for teens in accounting, which I recently learned. And so there's a kind of student to employee pipeline for them. So they're really working with folks to bring them up into the workforce as well. After this kind of photo page, just want to orient you on where the site was, so that's tax map, the parcel information, that sort of thing. The kind of rough look at our site overview, there is the existing foundation currently on the site from where the knitting mill burned down, it's just a concrete slab, it's a little foundation wall. And it's also where there's a community garden that currently uses about half of the site now, it's a River City garden. It's an allocation plot garden, mostly folks at Bliss and the terraces, who don't have green space of their own so much, can come down and it's a lot of veg gardens and that sort of thing. That will continue on the site, post construction as well. Some quirks of our site, we're in the lowland a little bit, it is in the flood zone, or at least part of the property is in the flood zone. So wanted to include some of those maps for you. This, I think it's like page 5 or 6, you can see where the kind of future flood line starts to come into our site. So we're proposing to build up the property a little bit, mound it up about where the old foundation, about where the old building first floor was. Is where the foundation level of our proposed building would.
The elevation would be what? What's the-
Elevation's at 14, I think, is the.
I think it's 16.
16, thanks, Chris, I appreciate it. Yeah, we've looked at it a lot of different ways and we've tried to bring it up very safely for the longevity of the organization. Look, this isn't an organization that's gonna build 2 buildings, it's gonna build 1 building in their life, you know what I mean? And like, we really wanna make it as kind of lasting as it can possibly be.
So just on the map that you're showing everyone,
Yeah.
the light pink is the flood area,
It's the floodplain area.
floodplain.
Yeah, and then if you flip the
Then
page.
what
to
is the
blue,
darker color?
Darker is safely out of the way, right? That's a 20 year, that's a 20 line mark.
I don't know, exactly
Yeah.
what to say.
I can't see here. Oh,
This is bluff.
it says bluff.
Yeah, so that's where it starts to get really steep, so that's at 20 foot plus, so I apologize, I didn't draw these maps, I'm presenting them for the architect who's not here, so. But my understanding is that's the like. Safe zone, basically.
Okay.
If we go to the proposed building site, so this next one, it has a geometric pink shape on it, so that would be the foundation. Essentially, or the area that we're proposing to site the building.
You're building over the old foundation.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that foundation there, we're gonna fill in to bring the level up higher and then pour a structural slab on top of that, that's the plan.
You'll actually see remnants of the building in your plan and proposed.
Correct, yeah, we've got some renderings of it as we get deeper into this, you'll see we're leaving that foundation. 1, so it doesn't end up in a landfill, 2, it leaves a cool kind of feature of a history of the past and kind of honors that. We'll also say that we've cleared the SHPO, we've done the architectural study, all the kind of like due diligence around disturbing the land has been cleared, and we're good from the state's point of
And
view.
by utilizing that original foundation, is that gonna be used for anything?
No, it's so our engineers and the geotech has determined it's not particularly useful. So we're actually doing micro piles down into hard ground below that to hold up our structural slab, and we're just leaving it as basically.
You put the slab over top of it.
Yeah, it'll be filled and then a
It's
slab,
slab.
yeah. Yeah, to get us at the height we need to, because basically what's there right now is the old basement.
Correct.
So we're gonna come up above that.
How far your pond's gonna go beneath the lower end of the basement of the.
Yeah, so it depends, so we did a really extensive geotech, so if you can picture, there's that ledge coming down from the terraces, it comes down pretty steep with shale and rock and it goes in. That line is pretty consistent as it goes underground, and a lot of what's in where the garden is now is pretty soft and squishy,
Right.
built, so. We've gotta go about 20 foot on the like river edge of the building, and then up by the ledge, it's like 5 foot. So it's where we hit rock is really different over the course of the.
You've done core samples and things.
We've
like
done
that.
about 15 drillings and
Okay.
samples, yeah, we're pretty confident in that analysis. Yeah. It's a single story building, in here, I'm gonna flip over to the visual now. Hey, hi, it's the executive director, just arrived, so, thanks for being here. Second.
Down there.
So the site plan, is, this is the building, right? Around the perimeter of the building is some patio areas and some outdoor spaces. This is the old garden. This is Front Street, right? And the main walkway in, if you can see this kind of line here, this is the foundation of the building that was there. And about 2 feet of it's gonna be poking up from the ground still, so we're gonna fill in to just having a little bit sticking up, so it'll be kind of a ledge wall and kind of delineate the courtyard as you come into the building, as you come into the space.
What are you gonna do, like a turnaround or something, like for the buses, as it's so dropped off the.
Yeah, so currently the buses just, they come around Dock Street on the Front Street,
Yeah.
they stop for about 30 seconds, they let 10 or 12 kids off, and they go on their way. We spoke,
That was the old plan, the new plan, it doesn't look like you have the bucket.
So the policy of the school district is buses don't turn around on private property,
Okay,
so they only will go on public city like roofs or public areas, so we wouldn't even, there would be no reason to have a bus turn around.
that's, okay, so let's stop in front of the.
There's already an
property and then-
existing bus stop in front of the property because of the loop down Second Street.
Right, I understand.
Yep, so they just come around, they don't like to turn around, so anytime they can just continue on our route because it's their preference. They could turn around at Fernbury, but they could put on.
The only suggestion I made was providing a, bump in for the buses to actually pull off the road a little bit, so they're not in the middle of the road dropping students on it all.
yeah, and honestly, our counter to that is, they're not gonna be there, they flip out their stop sign, they stop all traffic. Including ambulances and fire trucks, I recently learned, like, that's the rule, like, everything needs to stop when the school bus sign is out. So to pull off the road doesn't add much to what they do, and we're not gonna have a bus that kind of like pulls over and idles and hangs out, they're really just dropping kids off from school.
They also, they come down, the route is, they come down Second Street and along that and back up front. So they will actually be on the side of the road.
Right.
So they're not, the kids won't be crossing the street to get to the bus or get off the bus and crossing the street. They'd be getting off the bus from the building side, so there wouldn't be any cross that traffic kind of situation happening.
Honestly, we're not opposed to pushing in also, but we are trying to maintain the nice wide sidewalk, which continues the rail trail. This is a bit of sidewalk that the city didn't build, that, if you can recall, that it stops at the terraces basically, and the bike trail continues on this way, and so we're gonna continue it wide enough to make that safe connection between the.
But you're gonna put the sidewalk in as part of the project.
The sidewalk we will build as part of the project, yeah.
Yeah, no, the sidewalk that was part of the original arterial plan, but the city did not want us to finish it.
And that's one part, I'm saying, whether we call it for the school buses, for the buses.
It would be for the bus to pull in, similar to what you did at the boulevards, you provided that pull in,
Right,
so that the dump trucks,
If
garbage trucks.
that flashing lights in the sign comes out, because they're off the road, is that still gonna be utilized? The red lights and the arm,
There would have to be,
because of the dump.
yeah.
Where they
what-
they have to do that, by the way, so yeah.
What happens with loading from the school? Like if a bus comes to pick students up. Because they're not gonna be waiting at the curb, so there's gonna be some time with that bus just sitting in the road.
They actually try to meet at the curb, and if they're not there, they just keep going. There, it's very, timely, so it's within a couple minutes. They will just drive off, and sometimes they drive things on instead.
It's just something important to think about.
But yeah, there's not a lot of idling going on, they have a tight schedule, so don't.
We can request a letter from the district and the bus garage if that's useful to clarify what their preferences.
At the moment, currently, then our hope is this will change, there's only a bus stop. There's not actually a bus going home, we're transporting kids coming in passenger vans. It's possible, and hopefully in the future, there would be a bus home, but just to clarify. That's not the primary way that kids are getting home at the moment.
Yeah, Crisis has a passenger van, a 15-person van that's the home route.
I mean, there's no advantage to having, you know, sort of. A push off some side, clearance like for the van to give it a little bit, to not be in the street.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't been an issue, it's not a particularly high traffic corner of town, so it hasn't been a big issue for us. For the past 10 years that we've been doing transport there,
I just didn't, there's a lot, I thought, aren't there a lot of trucks that go out into Dock Street?
not,
You lose traffic.
not that late in the day.
Okay, maybe not, I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's mostly trucks going to the water treatment plant in the morning.
they're usually done by.
Say you've got the food distributor. The factory.
Yeah, you got that, yeah, so we got, yeah, the food,
So.
those are tractor trucks that go down.
Yeah. But it's, yeah, we haven't seen a, you know, it hasn't been a huge increase, you know, it's not like other than Front Street with the garbage trucks.
I just want to say, I think we're comfortable with whatever the recommendation is, but we're weighing a couple competing priorities. One, to keep the sidewalk nice and wide, have ample space for, you know, the bikes. The way it is on Front Street now, bikes and people share the sidewalk. We're proposing to keep that principle basically going down the sidewalk here. If we were to push in the sidewalk, we would lose that kind of bike lane ability down the sidewalk.
It
So
looks, but maybe I'm misinterpreting this, misconstruing the photograph, it looks like you actually come out. Like, right there, at the little.
Behind the bus, there's a.
yeah, behind, so this is, apologize, this is being updated, Chris, we just met about this recently, this is gonna be a straight line, and this
Okay.
parking spot is also a straight line. It will not push in here, or will push in,
Push out there.
yeah, it's gonna be the wider continuously, sorry about that. That's probably why the architect didn't put these for, because they're wrong, yeah, so sorry about that, yeah.
What's?
Of the sidewalk.
Yeah, it's a lot about the sidewalk, then we can, I think whatever your recommendation ends up being, we're happy to follow it.
I, just so we know, I also fall into Rob Perry. The sidewalk plans that were prepared as part of the city improvements down there don't quite match what's being proposed, the limit. So I'm trying to find out if you're, you know, if he's still. That were provided.
Yeah,
Because
so
there are some differences. They have car parking. And they have jet outs to protect the parking. That's not shown on the current plan.
in the arterial plan,
Yep.
Yeah, one of the reasons for that is our understanding is having. We have. Cars parked right there. Like parallel parks, it actually becomes more of a visibility issue for kids. Stepping out into the street from behind a car, so it's actually better for the visibility.
and yeah, and I would just add, the arterial plan also was gonna widen the whole street. Which we're not gonna widen the street, but that was part of that.
Yeah, like I said, I've got to call the Rock to find out why that wasn't done.
Cause you said they're gonna follow the same design, like up on Front Street where the cars are kind of. In,
Correct, yep. And they reduced the crosswalk widths, so the pedestrians aren't in the road as long. So down near the crosswalk, that's actually bumped in. On the arterial plans.
okay, yeah, I think you guys have to have a meeting to reconcile the plans.
Yeah, and we're in touch with Rob, he. Gave a preliminary approval, to this, and I've been in touch with him, and I know Chris is gonna. Figure out what he wants those.
Okay. Alright.
But yeah, this also assumes, and we have letters that are included in our package. From the mayor and from the chief of police, I guess, to add a stop sign and approving the crosswalk, because those don't exist. So we wanna slow traffic down.
Stop sign on both streets.
If we stop on Dock Street, yeah, it's coming this way and coming down.
Why is it down there though? Why is the crosswalk down there and not directly to your building, by your building?
Up
We
here,
actually asked for it to be there, but if they,
yeah, the arterial engineers were pretty firm against that. They felt this was the safest place to cross the street. They're coming downhill here. There's no stoplight here, there's no stop sign here. I'm not a traffic engineer, I don't,
So that's where you, so presumably now, then that's where your kids would unload and.
here, yeah.
Well, they would unload here, but if they went across from one side of the property to the other property.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we have this, the accessible path, you know, gets you up and around the site and into the building. That's the main passion. Yeah, I agree. There's a few things we've had to figure out that are a little tricky. The next page in your packet is, just kind of a reference of what the plans of the building look like. It shows, there's several classrooms, we have a teaching kitchen. There's, kind of, you know, 1, 2, 3 classrooms, there's some administrative space. And then the building is, built around a central courtyard, so this is actually a cutout space.
Okay.
With some greenery where to build the building.
Is that like a skylight or it's like
It's a hole in the building.
Oh, in the
Yeah,
building.
yeah, it's like a flying saucer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, or, yeah, in a good way, yeah. This is just a roof plan. One of the things I was asked for, the building is, carbon neutral, so it's all electric appliances and, heating and cooling. It's also offset by, solar panels on the roof, so this is the, roof plan showing the solar layout. It's all on the south side of the building, so this is the hill going up to the terraces, so it's largely gonna be, unseen, as a feature. This should just help you understand what the building looks like. This is the facing out toward the garden. This is the main entrance into the building from the street. It's a timber clad building, metal roof. The building itself, it's a straw bale panelized system, so it's working with a company in Vermont that squishes straw bales into wall panels and. Cool.
I'm surprised you do a green roof.
Well, so the green roof adds a lot of weight to a building, and it's something we looked at, but something that ultimately. For cost, for engineering, for a number of things, we couldn't throw it. We have a lot of green. Land. So,
And we use a lot of the roof for solar.
yeah.
So
Okay, nice to that.
So this is a kind of line rendering from standing on Front Street looking at the building. So this here is that old foundation wall. It has these windows cut out into it, right? So all of this is still standing, but you can see we're burying in it up to about 2 feet. So it's just a little tip top of the wall. Our sign would sit on the top of that, and that creates this kind of entry courtyard into the building. There's some questions. We have an outdoor seating area. This is toward the west side of the site plan. We're reusing, in some cases, we need to pull that whole foundation wall apart in order to get into the foundation slab. It created these huge 5 foot by 5 foot by 2 foot tall concrete chunks that we're gonna reorganize into a seating area. We also call it the amphitheater, but it's not like the Greek Coliseum or something. It's just like a seating area. This gives a sense of scale. It only steps up about 6 feet, so you know, it's not a huge elevation change, but I think it'll be a really cool feature. To kind of tell some of the story of the past of the property. This again is looking kind of diagonally up as if you're in the air looking at the garden. So this is where all the garden beds are. Down this way below it, that's the Furbury Park. And then this is looking back up at the building, and this is the hillside of the terrace. And then this is the best shot we've got right now to engrave this set. So again, the goal for tonight is just to really bring you all up to speed on what the project is. Behind the scenes, we're working with Chris on, he issued pages of questions and things for us to clarify in our next set. Those are being worked on. We're hopeful that in the next meeting, all of those things will be resolved. That's our intention. I would note we're eager to get this building going. We set a goal to start construction in October. That largely has to do with funding dollars that are in this. So we're funded through a number of different agencies. The DRI, the Downtown Revitalization, was part of the planning of this project. NYSERDA is involved because of its energy kind of aspirations. Empire State Development because it's revitalizing underused parcel. NISC, New York State Council of the Arts, is involved because it's providing arts programming to youth, and it's a kind of hub of arts and culture in the area for millions of dollars, and they're all on a timeline. And we went through a redesign process, and that's on us, but we started a couple of years ago. We've reconsidered what we were doing, and now this is the building we're coming to you with, but we're eager to get it going as soon as possible. And so that's part of it, is just gain momentum with you all around that as much as possible, help clarify as many of the technical questions as we can as quickly as possible. We have an awesome team, Jen Crawford and her group is on it doing civil and MEP. Architects are awesome. But I think to understand what some of the bigger concerns you might have so that we can prepare ourselves to address those would be really useful.
Is there anything significant missing from their submission? I mean, there's a lot
There's a lot of
of.
unanswered questions that they're working through.
Okay.
It's, whether the board wants to take in the next step and push them into a public hearing or wait until they address more of the comments before we get to push them in that direction.
Well, I mean, some of your comments, it was, parking, lighting, photometric plan.
Yep.
They need to do some kind of floodplain study.
There's some floodplain issues on the site still.
Mhm.
Nothing that I don't think they can't work through and work out. They do need a parking study.
Yeah, it's process.
Yeah. And we should have that shortly.
We did a traffic study, parking study, photometric is done. Forget what it's when they were doing. So the biggest one is trying to figure out water and a water management plan. Yeah,
Did you already, submit your SHPO
yes,
letter? to the
Yeah.
board?
yeah, it's a,
And the county had a bunch of
We haven't got it.
concerns. County planning board submitted a letter, they had a bunch of concerns.
Right,
they did, and those were really echoes of Chris's, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there was nothing particular unusual to there.
What would be the downside, this is a technical question for you, I guess, Randall, of opening the public hearing to coincide with the work being done, so as to make the process as speedy as possible if the funding is on the line? Can we do that?
Well, normally we try to make sure that we've got most of the information in
Right,
before that, so I'm definitely trying to gauge how far we are away from that point.
just to answer your question, the downside of opening the hearing early is that once it's open, you have to continue it to the next meeting. And it means they have to come back every month, and that's how these things appear to go on for a long time.
I see.
Which, we've done it before and they were trying not to move away from that. Sometimes the hearings just go on for a long time.
I see.
It's my assumption we'll be here every month
And
anyway, so, because it's pressing for us to resolve.
Because it seems like the upside would be that if there are new concerns raised by the public, they can be being addressed in real time rather than having all of our concerns addressed. Then opening the public hearing and having possibly a whole new crop of concerns come up. It seems, if you guys are gonna be here every month, that we might as well get all the concerns on the table as soon as possible.
Yeah, right, like the boulevards, they were in the process a long time, but it's a much better project now. It benefited from, the rigorous process that we have. I'm okay with it.
It would just be a shame to lose any funding. And thank you for making these, this is so helpful.
Yeah.
Thank you, so nice.
I will say, we've also put a lot of time and energy into engaging the community in this process for many years. So we don't anticipate a lot of community resistance because we've done so much work to make sure that this is a project that our community wants.
Are you gonna do some charrettes?
We've done dozens of charrettes.
With this
With
new,
this project, with this building, with this design,
okay,
we've engaged over 700 people through dozens of different events, and we've actually had a community advisory board that has co-led design process since 2021. And that includes students, families, neighbors of the site, community gardeners, educators, all longtime Hudson residents. Very diverse group of people that have been part of this design process every step of the way, looking at budgets, looking at the stakeholders have been the decision makers in this. So it's a unique project that I would venture to guess that no other project has come before the planning board in recent years that has this level of community involvement in the design process. And so when we have a public hearing, many of those things will come to support. We try not to take up much of your time, but I just wanted to clarify how much engagement has already transpired, and so we're coming to you with a lot of buy-in from our community already.
But to your point, if there is something to hear to address, like the sooner the better.
Right, we would want to know that.
Mhm. Are they at the point where that might be appropriate, in your opinion?
I don't know that my comments are gonna change their plans substantially.
Mhm.
There might be some tweaks here and there, but I think the project, the way it feels on paper, they're probably gonna be consistent. So. I don't think it hurts.
Okay. Do you want to take just a short vote, about putting this, project in the public meeting phase? Let me get an idea of where you guys are at. Okay. Kelly? I'm asking about this.
He wants you to.
I'm asking your opinion about this project going into the public meeting phase.
I don't know, as I said, it doesn't, probably went to its, as long as it doesn't draw it out too much, I mean, to your concerns, but it's probably with the age of exercise.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
We done this process before,
Yeah, I think, well, yeah, like, but again, the boulevard, they were.
if then I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it. It's actually advantageous for us and for them. And you have a deadline for finances. And we've seen projects before that lost money because of the delays, not intentional delays, but delays. So I don't have a problem with it.
So I'll make a motion that we advance them to the public meeting stage. All in favor, we got a second,
Motion to schedule a public hearing for August, you wanna do this in August?
you prepare,
Yeah, it's the, well, yeah.
August 12th, yes, next month, August 12th. So that's the motion. That the public hearing on August 12th at 6:30 PM. Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Anyone against? Motion passes.
Appreciate that, yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Now move on to new business. 300 State Street. Daily School.
Hi, everyone, John Riccodotti, I'm associated with Penrose, the developer of the General School projects. Located at 360 State Street, by the way.
Have you submitted these?
We did email them to somebody before today, we were not aware of the portal process, so just sure. it's-
Yeah. This is one.
We sent a presentation around it like.
It's right there.
Yeah, this is one. But it's so nice to have paper copies, thank you, God bless you.
Yeah, just 360 State Street.
360.
State Street, yeah, okay. And your name again?
Jonah Rickinati.
Yosh. Can you spell that?
First name or last name?
Both.
JONAHRICANATI.
Okay.
Alright, so,
Randall, is there a way we could actually see things that are being presented? They're all here and great.
Well, they just presented this on the fourth. I maybe can bring these. They have it. I can also, but you can't. So we can do.
That would be.
Right. Kind of go back and forth too, because I also want to be able to, you might have to pick it up and kind of go back and forth a little bit. So that the home audience can see it.
we'll do.
Should this be in wait, so.
I thought it really should be. You guys do it in the morning.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
Hi everyone, I'm also joined here today by Sean Farrell, our engineer for Bell and Associates. We're here today to give an introduction to the JLE school project. We have no immediate ask, we're in front of common council right now. They passed a resolution that they're gonna do for the agency for the secret review. And we're working with them on the extension of the R4 zoning district as well. After we get the negative declaration, we will be seeking site plan approval for the projects, and they may also have some questions for you as well as they go through the secret process.
Okay.
So starting off with just who we are and our project overview, Penrose is a 50-year-old privately held first
What's this? The common council being the lead agency versus the county building.
So this project requires a zoning amendment because what they're proposing is not allowed in the district. So common council has passed a resolution seeking lead agency, but you actually have to consent to it. So that's one of the actions you're being asked to consider. You could not consent and say that you're the more appropriate lead agency because you're used to doing these kinds of reviews, or you could say, since they have passed the law, they are the appropriate lead agency.
How does it help them go through zoning to change the zone?
How does it help them?
Yes, by being lead agency.
It seems like it's a strategic decision on the part of the applicant to avoid going before two boards at the same time. So that they are focusing their effort on the county council, and if they don't get the zoning amendment, then they're not gonna spend money on site plan review before this board. But the common council is going to have to do a secret review of the full plan the same way that this board would do it, you know, considering impacts to community character, environmental impacts. I mean, the site's previously built, so.
Yeah, and but we also can speak into this, their secret process,
You can send letters,
but.
yeah,
And that's our intent for being here tonight, is to introduce the project to you, so you can provide feedback to the common council board.
But there seems to be a question about whether we want to accept that they're asking.
So you mean we're supposed to vote on that tonight?
Well, we can list,
You
well,
only have 30 days from when the common council declared its intent to serve as lead agency. I believe they circulated that a week ago.
Yeah, I think they said the 30 days was 25th or something with that deadline.
So, I mean, if you're not ready, I suppose you could talk about it again next week, but there's only 30 days.
Got it.
well, I said, let's hear
Yeah.
your proposal then.
Sure.
The determination.
I wanted to start off with just some background on Penrose, but I'm gonna go pretty quickly through the slides so we can mostly talk about the redevelopment project. Penrose is a 50-year-old property called for full service real estate platform. We're integrated or certified housing services provider, and we are continuously looking to ensure responsiveness and production reliably for local markets. The next slide, enterprise overview, is a little bit just about us by the numbers. We've developed over 27,000 units, over 300 developments, and over 5 billion in total development costs. Moving on to our presence in New York. We're a Brooklyn-based cross-disciplinary team comprised of development, asset management, and acquisition professionals. We're an HCR housing production partner with over 1,700 units construction preserved and over 2,000 units in our pipeline throughout New York State. We have experience with public-private financing tools included in this project, including the 9% LIHTC and federal and state historic tax credits. And we really want to be in Hudson. We're active in the Hudson Valley, Kingston, and other places nearby. And we've looked at various opportunities throughout the year, and we're really hoping this is the one for us to get shovels in the ground in Hudson. Next slide is just a bit about our adaptive reuse experience. We're very experienced in this type of redevelopment and repurposing old buildings, respecting the distinct characters of the historic structures and bringing in new use that responds to community needs. This is a case study that this project is inspired by in many ways. The Pride located in Hyde Park, Massachusetts. It was a redevelopment of the historic William Barton Rogers Elementary School. And we partnered with a local LGBTQ organization to provide a senior LGBTQ affirmative housing community. We beautifully renovated this historic school building, providing 74 units of affordable senior housing and 10,000 square feet of commercial community space, including a community center and office space for LGBTQ senior housing and the 54th Regiment, a Black veterans organization in the area.
Was it a 4-story building prior, or did you build up?
We didn't do any new construction as part of this project.
It was readapted, changed windows?
Yes, correct. The next slide, you'll see a before and after of what some of those repurposed space looks like. Underutilized, to say the least, not in the best condition. You'll see some beautifully renovated pictures on the right. With beautifully activated landscape spaces outside. And we've taken a lot of the team for this project and a few similar projects in New England and brought them over to this project. So the architect that's really well skilled in these school reuse projects is also working on this project. The historic consultant that got the historic certification for that building is also the historic consultant for this project. So we're really bringing a lot of expertise in this product type to doing something similar in Hudson. This is another example of a comparable project we did in New England, the Mary Stone Apartments, similar adaptive use of historic elementary school. It's a local partnership with a nonprofit organization, and it received, awards in our industry for historic building rehabilitations and for affordable housing tax credit properties. So the development concept for JLE School. We're proposing the rehabilitation and adaptive reuse of JLE School into 65 units of senior 55+ age affordable housing. That will be all studio and 1-bedroom units, and it will be affordable to senior households up to 60% of the area median income, serving a few different income tiers. We would try to produce amenities to enrich the experience of residents and allow them to age in place with dignity, including a fitness center, a light-filled resident commons, a community garden, a stroll path, and a patio. So I'm gonna skip to building conversion and design and go back to the site plan. So the building has many unique historic features, which we'll be looking to preserve, and many of which will have to preserve through the requirements of historic rehabilitation using historic tax credits, including terrazzo floors, the auditorium's unique ceiling. For the residential conversion, we'll be converting the classrooms into the residential units primarily. We'll also be converting the gymnasium into AV units. The cafetorium will be converted into a sun-filled community space for the residents. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Sean to talk a bit about the site plan and the proposed entitlements process for the project.
So as we mentioned earlier, we're at the Common Council, seeking, change from, zoning from the R1 district to the R4 district. For the purpose of the multifamily. In addition, we've actually, we're thinking we might need zoning variances because going from R1 to R4, there's a height restriction on the building. We are in discussions with Craig regarding that, and Crystal, we're still trying to get clarification if that's going to be required or not.
When you say Crystal, who's
The Common Council attorney,
You know, to raise the height of the building, or are you?
no,
Okay.
no changes in the height of the building. Moving on to the site plan, I'll kind of bring it up now. Sorry. As you can see, this is the site plan. We're proposing very minor, minimal changes to the overall site plan. The traffic flow patterns, we are going to continue to have the same traffic flow patterns. And basically just doing the green space on the site, so you can see the green space on the site. Jonah had some pictures there of mock, of the other projects they have done, so that's the intent to revitalize the landscape areas. The parking will remain the same. We're assessing the parking lot, we might resurface the parking lot through the facility. For utilities, their existing water service and sewer service to the building, that will be maintained. We are investigating the integrity of those utilities, determining if they're sufficient or not. And with the minimal site disturbance, that will be under the requirements for a full SWIP for this project, so we'll have erosion control measures. But we don't anticipate a full SWIP for the project. The only potential improvements on the west side of the building, you can see here, the remnants of an old gravel access way. In discussion with the fire company, they mentioned that was there. We found that also the potential you will improve that gravel access way for garbage. The plan is that the garbage will be collected on the lower floor of the structure, will come out to this bottom level and stored, and then at the time of garbage pickup day, it will be carted up to an area where you see here that is will be the dumpster location where the garbage truck will come in that day, pick it up, drive it away, and then the maintenance facility will bring the totes back down into the building. So that's the only major, I shouldn't say major, but minor upgrades in the overall site plan that we potentially see happening. We have recently done a traffic letter. I don't know if that was submitted in this portal or not. But it analyzed the existing traffic in the area. And we can provide that to you also in additional. And
Are there any sustainable elements with this solar, geothermal?
Yes, so, this project will be seeking financing from HDR, including for some of its sustainable components. We are anticipating having solar, as long as we get it approved by SHPO. SHPO doesn't want to see solar from the ground, that's just a, historic requirement. But if we're able to do it on the rooftop without it being visible, we will. We're also anticipating that we're gonna pursue enterprise green communities plus certification for the building. And complying with the sustainability requirements needed to score for that certification.
And the building in the front, the library, is that in your purchase plan?
The Alms House?
Yeah,
No, it's not. You know, I'm sure everyone heard the news about Galvin today. So, you know, it's probably likely that it is one of those properties.
it's in that portfolio, okay.
Yeah, so, we have reached out to Galvin recently about, you know, to learn a little bit more about the plans for that property. Our understanding is that it's currently, not operational. And needs significant work, so we didn't really see any immediate opportunities to collaborate in the redevelopment plan. But, you know, we'll definitely want to keep those conversations moving with Galvin, Bard, and any other parties who want to do something with that property that might contribute to our development plan as well.
That's pretty much sums up our presentation. Any questions, concerns?
So, Sean, we'll talk about the entitlement schedule as well. I want to move on to that. So rezoning, we're planning on extending the R4 zoning districts to the project site. Zoning variances we talked about, we think we're gonna need one for length of the building and one for height for the building. You know, site plan approval, that's something, you know, that we plan on pursuing after the secret negative declaration. Seeker with the city of Hudson, common council intending to be the lead agency. And then the next slide is just a breakdown of over the next few months, how we're planning to make progress on some of these steps. And then looking at the last slide, which is a high level project schedule, we're really moving to be in the most competitive place we can right now for the 9% RFP, which is going to be released later this month from New York State Homes and Community Renewal. They really want to see as much progress on entitlements. By the time the RFP is due, it's going to be due in September. So, you know, we're here engaging, you know, the various parties in the city of Hudson that are responsible for this entitlements process. You know, figuring out how we can, you know, really tighten up our proposal here and, you know, advance the entitlements for this project ahead of that 9% RFP deadline. And that's really all we have in terms of presentation. Happy to answer any questions you have.
So, Mr. Riccinotti, since you're doing a zoning change, why not propose or petition for a zoning change that includes your height that you want to avoid having to go to the zoning board, which is like a 3-month process at least?
So we were advised when we started this process, which Sean, I think I'll speak a little bit more about through our discussions with Craig and, you know, common council's attorney, that it would be a faster process if we just go to extend the R4 and then go for those zoning variances versus doing a whole new rezoning change. I'm also not sure exactly how this is impacting it, but I know that common council does have some larger plans for rezoning in the city and in the area. So I'm not sure how that's shaking out or how it might impact our timeline, but
You thought about it. And
yeah.
You went.
That is the feedback we got from them. Apparently there's some rezoning potentially in the future, so.
Is there any questions?
Definitely gonna need a traffic report, parking study. And then water and sewer report. We'll also go through DEC. They're under consent order here. So. What's that?
You need to go for county planning board because it's right across the street.
Yep, that's a fair for.
So are you recommending, Christian, that the traffic report part of study that we tell the common council they should be requesting that? Or? If they should have that reported.
They should have all the documents before they speaker. And they should be hiring consultants to review it for them on their behalf. They get to do your whole discussion beforehand.
Right, right.
Jeez.
That's good.
We really get through
You need to establish those.
Yeah.
So we have, they passed a resolution that we do need to establish an escrow with the county council, which we have already done.
There's two different escrows with planning board, escrow with the county.
As part of the seeker, process, or as part of the site plan review process.
Site plan review process.
Got it.
You want to come up with a number tonight, you can formalize it? Resolution?
Yeah, with 5, 10. You submitted the $300 application fee already?
Correct.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So we get usually from. That's exactly, I'm saying, that's not my accent. And, yeah.
All right, so, for large scale project, a new escrow, minimum, fees, of course, whatever your usual in terms here is 10,000. So we need a motion to establish escrow at $10,000 for this project.
Can I just point out for 1 second, I'm not sure if this impacts the escrow amount, but for the studies required, the site is probably overparked. So I'm not sure if parking study is needed. We have, I think, a 1:1 ratio for a senior project, which is very high right now.
What's that?
It's, the traffic report parking study letter is already provided to the common council, which has that included, so we should be good.
So, right, I mean, I think what they're saying right now is they have a standard escrow sheet and this needs a large project definition, is that what you're reading?
Yes, and well, and Judy's alludes to the fact that I think that we're kind of working a little bit at cross purposes. Because even in the seeker, they're gonna seek to have their, I don't know that they have consultants to review the project as we do, and that's as a normal course of business as we do. And we're still gonna review it, so now are we doing double work?
Well, so the way it would work, so they do have an attorney, Crystal Pax, and she knows, you know what she's doing. If they are secret lead agency, they would be responsible primarily for reviewing the studies, but as the board that's going to be issuing site plans, you could comment on the same way that you receive comments from other agencies when
Right.
you do a secret review.
I just think it's kind of just terms of the process of telling.
Right, it's unusual.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're using. We established an escrow for $3,000 with them. I'm not sure.
How much was that?
3,000.
3?
Yeah. I'm not sure if that's just to pay Crystal or pay other things, but. That's probably just in that first one.
And then it's gonna be our job to review the site.
Yes,
And-
ultimately.
And there's gonna be expenses for that. With the consultants
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
and the attorney.
Right.
So, all right.
Can you please clarify for me again, Victoria, as to why they would, why common council first maybe, as opposed to going straight to the county board?
So the way I was reading the paperwork, the common council was going to send them to the planning board. And the applicant wrote a letter to them saying, no, we want you to do it. So that they obliged. Am I incorrect in that?
It's correct too, the two factors, it's timing to get in front of HCR. We also felt that the zone changes is kind of the big issue here, the site plan is, I don't wanna say, it's very minimal. But the zone change is the greater impact.
Right.
And to avoid where they have the say for that, our thought process is they have the greater value in the overall project, compared to the planning board. We will have to come back here, like you said, but that was our thought process. Sure. They keep it kind of, keep it kind of in one house where they're making the major decisions and it just, you're involved in the agency, just like it's opposite that you are accustomed to.
It is, that's what I'm saying. It is diametrically opposed, but I do understand your concerns on the zoning aspect of it. In terms of the timeliness of how you're trying to achieve this, but it does. I don't know, I just kind of feel like it sets a bad precedence for how the process that we've already established. And I don't know if this meets the test for changing that process necessarily.
Well, there's two questions before the board right now. The first is setting the escrow for future review,
Right,
or
right.
tonight's review. Second is whether or not you want to consent to the common
Right,
practice
consent, right.
recommendations.
Right. And what happens then?
So in the event that there's a dispute between two agencies, you would write a little narrative why you think you're the best agency, the common council would do it as to why they're the best agency, and then DEC gets to decide. So it goes up to the commissioner of DEC for lead agency dispute.
And how long does that process normally take?
Take 3 months.
Yeah, I don't know if we should do that,
I think I would, if we're going that route, I suggest that we could sit down and discuss that. If that's your plan, and how we can.
we have to meet that issue tonight. Because.
So
We can we have a client?
it's 30 days from, they declared it on their circulation notice was dated June 26th is when they sent it to you. So you could talk about it at your meeting next week if you want, before the public hearing or after it. But it could be a long meeting, so you might,
I propose that we have I think we need a joint client
I won't,
session
we can have that, but
to
remember.
discuss the specifics of how we want to proceed with the consent part.
Mhm.
But we can set an escrow.
And if you do nothing and 30 days passes, it's deemed a consent.
Right.
And remember, I'm not, the hearing, I have, you picked the date, I wasn't available, so. Yeah, I won't be here next.
Is has to be, gotta be, feel better, you know, or you don't?
If she's feeling better, otherwise I'll try to find someone else to. Okay.
We'll look
You
at
can always talk after this meeting, have your turn, fine.
it.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. All right, so then we're back at issue 2, which is the escrow. And the escrow is 10.
So I think you just go with your motion and just up to the board.
So. I make a motion that the escrow of this project be $10,000. Who's in a second? All in favor? That's out of the way. Something. Yeah, it seems very interesting, your project seems well thought out, very interesting. I understand some of the pressures that you guys are working under, and we'll discuss and try to come up with the resolution we can.
Right, just to clarify your intent, you're gonna have an internal meeting to discuss.
The whole consent issue, yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, and some conversations we work through to see what makes sense, makes the best sense.
And the timing of that?
But it's an internal issue, we will let them.
But isn't it that we either have to consent or not next meeting, or if we say nothing, it will be approved? Is that right?
Yeah.
So that's the timing.
Yeah. This is something different doesn't happen for 30 days, then it's gonna go the way it's gonna go.
Right, right.
But 25 days actually at this point. So,
Could we commit to making a decision by next week?
yeah. Well, yeah.
That's helpful, right?
Yeah, okay. Any other questions regarding the site plan? I guess while we're here, take into consideration, any feedback would be appreciative at this point, so we can kind of keep moving.
Planning board members, any question at this time?
I'm just amazed that this building is protected by the historic.
Well, is the building itself historic or it's just in a historic district? Because it's next to a historic. Yes.
It's historic eligible right now. We're going through the process of getting it listed on the historic registry.
So you want it to be listed because then you can get tax credits.
Yes.
Yeah, and what is the basis? It would be like a mid-century modern.
Just
Just
I
like
have
the
a
ugliest
whole, I have a
building.
whole narrative about it. consultants came here, they researched all about the history of the building, there's some renowned architects that designed it, it's distinctly century modern architecture, and there's basis for it to be historic.
In your staging, we'd like to, at some point, when we get to that one, we'd like to see a staging plan, because I know that you have to remove some materials that would potentially hazardous, so I'd like to see that.
So can you clarify what you mean by the staging plan?
Like, yeah, but as you do your construction, as you're demoing.
Like a phasing plan?
Yeah,
Got it, okay.
Where you're storing your building materials, you know, if there's a job trailer on site, you know, that kind of thing.
Yep, so do it all the time.
and we will let you know. Yep, we've got time on that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, 70-72 North Fifth Street.
I mean, as a public, I don't understand. This consent, like, what one versus another, maybe the lawyer could explain it to the public. I'm confused by what your conundrum is about this consent. There's the common council has a role, you have a role.
Well, typically, they're not involved in this stage.
I know.
Of what
What's
we
the
do.
advantage or disadvantage of this discussion? I don't really get it.
Well, that's what we're trying to determine. This is not the
Yeah,
normal
that's
course of the way you do
share that.
this.
Can you share your confusion or frustration with us?
I don't be necessarily confused or frustrated, but I'll try to speak to that.
I mean, I
Extra
can
question.
talk about the seeker process. So when there's a project that comes in, environmental review is required for every decision of every agency in New York. And when the project is of a certain size, it's more efficient to coordinate the review among the involved agencies so that the review only happens once. Otherwise, the planning board would do a review, the common council would do a review, the zoning board would do a review, and that's very inefficient. And we could end up with differing opinions on things, and that is disfavored. It is more, if it's a type 1 action, it's required, and if it's an unlisted action, it's encouraged that we do a coordinated review. So the common council has indicated that it wants to be in charge of the environmental review. And it sent a notice to all the other involved agencies, part of the process, saying, we want to do it, do you consent or do you object? So this board has to make a decision on whether or not they consent or they object.
Okay, what is the advantage to the council doing this versus you doing it? That's what I don't understand.
That's the applicant's strategy. They wanted the common council to do it so they could get the decision on whether or not there'll be a zoning change before they spend any more money coming before the planning board. I mean, it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. One advantage of the planning board doing it, that the planning board does these reviews all the time, whereas the common council probably does that level of secret review less often. But on the other hand, they are the ones making the decision on whether to amend the zoning law or not. So it's ultimately their decision.
Thank you very much.
70-72 North Fifth Street.
You get one of the boards.
No, we have one here.
That's our Joshua Moon Galvin Initiative Foundation. 70-72 North Fifth Street is currently a 2-family residence on a single family lot. It's about 4,000 square feet. We're looking to subdivide this lot and create 2 single lots that could be sold separately. So it's about the frontage along Fifth Street, 40 feet wide, and then along Prospect Street, 100 foot depth. This parcel here, 68 North Fifth. This was originally one parcel, this was subdivided off at some point in time. And made into a non-conforming, visual lot.
What type of building is on each lot?
It's all essentially one structure with partitions in between it,
Oh, okay, that's right.
3 single family residences.
So you wanna separate it into separate lots?
Correct,
Do they have separate utilities?
yes, they would.
But do they now?
Well, it's under renovation
Oh, okay,
in there,
that's what they're doing.
yeah. But it's still one parcel.
Okay.
Okay, so they will have, there will be no interconnection of water between the units or of electric,
Correct, independent
Plumbing.
utilities,
and they won't need to cross the lots for garbage removal.
no,
This is essentially 3 units.
no, I was saying that 68 was originally a part of it, but at some point in time it was subdivided, so off.
Okay, so there's two right there.
Correct, this is our parcel right here. Where we can create 2 separate lots,
It's one building can just split it down the middle,
correct,
it's separate utilities.
yeah. And they have fire separation between the residential units.
So, Craig says they need to go to the zoning board for variance on this project. You aware of that?
Yeah, this was a sort of prerequisite for that, all right?
Okay.
Because you are, the engineering aspect of it in terms of the separating the buildings correctly.
It's more of a Craig question, whether they can be separated. Typically, when you have, 2 buildings on 2 different lots like that, there's a firewall. And it's all the way up through the building. It's usually a masonry construction to, basically separate the 2.
We had the,
You do.
Is it part of
the
the
basement?
yeah. 2 hours.
We just have to get verification from Craig on that.
That's something that you're building now.
Yeah.
It's in the plans now.
No, our building permit is contingent upon having that, regardless of whether it's 2 parcels, you still need that fire separation, 2 hours both sides.
So this is one of those situations that we're just talking about. This is an unlisted action. So you have an option. You could circulate for lead agency. You could declare that tonight, you wait 30 days, then they can go to the zoning board and get the variances. After you've completed seeker, or you can send them to the zoning board, but each board does its own seeker review. It's not a huge review because it's just splitting one line into 3 with an existing building. But it is still on one line to 2, but it's still unlisted, so.
Is the exterior of the building changing?
No, it's for renovation, restoration, essentially, it's still wood siding.
So only the interior is being renovated and that is a change and otherwise.
It's not necessarily a
subdivision-
change because it's already divided up. We're just looking to sort of,
Well, it is
Visualize.
being changed, Craig sent them here because they can't finish it without getting this board's approval.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And what's the purpose of the lot line adjustment? What's the advantage of that?
the subdivision so that these units could be sold individually.
Sold individual to separate units.
So the first order is we'd have to declare ourselves lead agency.
If you want to do a coordinated review, then we would circulate to the zoning board.
That seems like the right thing to do. So
You need a motion to declare intent to serve as lead agency.
I'll make a motion to declare the planning board's intent to be lead agency on this project. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, so we'll circulate, then I think we should motion to refer them to the zoning board as well.
At some point early in the conversation, did you say something about 3 units? I think it was 2 units.
No, I was saying this was originally one lot. This one was carved out, subdivided at some point in time and sold, I think, under different ownership. These are this lot here.
Is what you did, okay, that's what I, so what I'm looking at is not, the third parcel there is not yours.
Yeah, this would be post subdivision, this is the existing condition. See, this is our parcel here.
Yeah.
This is the sister parcel we call it, that
Right.
was sold off at some point.
Okay. And go back. Got it.
And
68, 70, 72.
what is the size of the lot that's allowed by zoning? And what is the variance that you need?
I don't, what is the minimum lot size requirement for them? Is it?
Right, yes. What are the requirements and how do you not meet them?
I think, did I read correctly that the minimum lot size in city of Hudson is 15,000 square feet?
Depends on the district.
This is R2. I don't know off the top of my head. But these lots post subdivision would be just about 2,000 square feet each.
Do you want to refer them to the zoning board tonight as well? To make a motion.
So I'll make a motion to refer this project to the zoning board for their approval.
Second that motion.
Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. So that's good. Yeah. Yeah, sure.
But if you want to leave, you want to leave on.
We gotta take some money here.
Oh, no, I saw the invoice was posted too. Invoice posted too.
Did you already say?
No,
We sent him an invoice.
From a firm out of Rhinebeck.
That, I mean, that's maybe
$50.
$2, yeah, that sounds about right. So,
$1,000.
yeah,
We have
I mean, this
two
is pretty
fees.
simple,
we
so.
had two fees. A fee for lot improvement or lot adjustment, that's $100 fee.
Right.
And then if you wanna do escrow was, a minimum was 1,000,
That's down, yeah. So,
so.
so it's,
you need a motion or anything?
You need a motion.
Yeah.
On both or individually,
well, one is just a fee. We don't need a
One
motion
is a
for the
fee.
fee. It's
$100 fee.
so they have $100 fee. And then I make a motion to set escrow for this project at $1,000. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, so you'll have to, go see that, escrow will be $1,000.
And then you have to do that for the $100 too, right?
Yeah, you just have to pay that fee.
Two separate fees paid to the treasurer's office.
No.
And you or somebody from here needs to notify the treasurer's office.
I'll do a written resolution for that, and for the treasurer.
Okay, now you can go, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, okay, other business. Be reports and discussions. Escrow, let me ask you, do we have any other discussions, reports? What's the escrow report?
If you have them. Oh, yeah, they're here. So you, I mean, you can move that up if you want, but.
Okay, escrow report. We got one bill from Roden House of Charlie and Palmdora. Sure. I don't know how to say it.
All of the vouchers for the projects were uploaded to the individual project files of the applicants.
The one bill is for $806, that's the monthly fee that they get paid. And the individual accounts is a total of $7,072.50. Dated July 8th, 2025.
And that represents which projects?
This represents Caluso, Depot District, Hudson Avenue, Kite's Nest, Hudson Harmonic, Boulevards, 601 Union, Mill Street, 1012 Walnut Street. And with that, we have 1, 2, 3 accounts with these bills will be in the negative. Russo has a balance of $753.19. The bills total $3,770.50 for a shortage of $3,017.31. So they need to be replenished.
That also doesn't include, I think, apartment gyms bills, correct?
I'm sorry,
That doesn't include apartment gyms, correct?
right,
Yeah.
I did not get anything important, we do this. So whatever they have for the month, that would be capped out.
Next month.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But so Russo needs to be replenished from that. They're short $3,017.31.
Well, we should just get it to the full amount.
Yeah, so- Yeah, so let's make a motion to, what's this sheet again?
You what?
I'm gonna make a motion to do a replenish to those 3,000.
Yeah, those $3,700, they have a balance already. So
I mean, they should just replenish to the full original amount.
But so it's
Of 10,
Because you're gonna have other people, I mean,
that's what I'm thinking.
there's more meetings and.
Alright, so what I wanna do, if they wanna replenish, I want that paid, so if they don't replenish, it would be this,
they're gonna pay this.
the 37, or is it 3,000?
That's how much they should. They need.
Right, so,
They need to
so,
replenish 3,000.
But did I not hear you say, Victoria, we should replenish a little bit more, but did you do above that?
yeah, we're gonna do the 10,000. Plus the 3,000, so $13,017. So make a motion that Caruso replenishes at a level of $13,017. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Got it, please. And the next shortage is Hudson Harmonic. They have a balance of $315.50. RCP bill $468, nothing from Barton or Lagudas. They have a negative of $152.50.
How much more work we have?
I don't know that.
Nothing. Just the meeting time.
Yeah.
And so I would just say 500.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, good finance. Alright, so I make a motion that Hudson Harmonic replenishes at $500.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Motion passed.
And the final third one, this is 601 Union Street, Victoria. There's an issue with that, I want to go. Something was said,
They bounced a check,
yeah,
but I'm not sure where they are now. So what's the
Did
issue?
they ever replenish
I
after
think
the
they-
check?
I think they did replenish it. Or have they
I
not?
don't have any knowledge of that,
Okay, well, let's figure that out.
okay. As of the other day, they have a balance of minus $11.25. Plus the bill for RCP, $26, which is a total minus $37.25.
They're all done, aren't they?
I don't think they have a signed site plan yet. They were still working towards those conditions of approval. So Christian will have work reviewing it and I might as well.
Make it four grand. How much is it?
This is the total.
That's what was only for station lots.
I don't know.
Yes.
I know they still own.
Would that be?
I think one that was left was the easement reviewing the sidewalk on
Yeah,
there.
that little.
I think I'm.
Alright, so I make a motion that 601 replenish at 500.
I'll think of that.
All in favor? Motion passed. Then I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 11th.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting.
You're a second.
Second.
All in favor? Yeah.
Was there already approved about it?
Oh, no, oh, so I made a motion to replenish. We need a motion to approve, yeah, so I make a motion to approve and pay the bills.
Second.
All in favor? Alright. And need a motion to adjourn. Okay,
We approved,
we want.
we did it, we did them, where you been?
So who made the motion to adjourn?
I did.
Okay, who seconded?
The team did. I did. We're ready.
Any questions from the audience? All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming.
Now, do you wanna do the attorney client right now?
Just do it on the Zoom. Once every time. We'll do a Zoom call for the, talk about, consent.
That sounds good.
It's not 9 o'clock.
You can stay.
It's Caliber, so
There's a public hearing scheduled for next week.
we're still having that despite the fall. That it should, like, it's still, we're still having.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was voted on at the June meeting, right?
Okay,
Yeah, it's
I
been
just didn't
scheduled.
know with all the other stuff going on.
Well, like I said,
Oh,
let me,
They had asked you to rescind it, but
yeah, I'm trying to be, hold on, can I just,
That's what I just wanted to make sure.
Victoria,
Yeah.
you still are.
let me just.
Okay.
Give me a second.
thank you for letting me know, but I didn't, I didn't say anything.
It's not posted, it's on today.
What?
It's not the confusion.
I'm telling you.
That and just because.
Yes, we are, let's give it a second.
Trying to shut down.